Today, we're digging into a story that I think just about everyone has read, Natalie Babbitt's Tuck Everlasting. And it's a classic for a reason, because it asks one of the biggest questions you could ever ask yourself. So let's just get right to it, because this is the question that sits at the absolute center of the book. And notice the wording here. It's not about if you could live forever, but if you would, if you should. And for our main character, this goes from a daydream to a very, very real choice. All right, so our story starts with Winnie Foster, and when we meet her, she is just so completely fed up. She feels like her whole life has been stuck on pause, you know? She's living in this perfect little house, trapped behind a perfect little fence, and she is just desperate for something, anything to happen that's just for her. And this quote right here, it just says it all, doesn't it? Winnie feels like she's living under a microscope. Every move she makes is watched by her mom and her grandmother. She's not trying to be a rebel, she's just craving a little bit of freedom, the freedom to just exist without being micromanaged. And that feeling, well, that's the spark that lights the whole fire. You've really got to understand this contrast to get why Winnie does what she does. Her world is stiff, it's orderly, it's literally fenced in. She lives in a touch-me-not cottage. But the world she's about to wander into, the Tuck's world, well, that's the complete opposite. It's wild woods, gentle clutter, and most importantly, a life without rules, a life totally outside of time. So she makes a choice, and honestly, it's a pretty small one. She just decides, I'm doing it. She leaves her yard and walks into the woods her family owns, but has always told her to stay out of. And that one little act of defiance leads her to this moment. She sees a boy, Jesse Tuck, drinking from a spring, and her entire world is about to get turned upside down. Pretty quickly, though, Winnie finds out the secret of that spring. And it's not some magical gift. Oh no, for the Tuck family, it's the source of a deep, unending curse. 87. Just think about that number for a second. That's how many years have passed since the Tucks drank from that spring without knowing what it would do. For 87 years, they haven't aged a single day. May Tuck says she hasn't needed a mirror in all that time because her reflection never, ever changes. They are literally frozen while the entire world just keeps moving on without them. Wow. This line from Angus Tuck, the father of the family, just tells you everything you need to know about how tired they are. His idea of a good dream, his idea of heaven, is a place where they get to have a normal life, which includes a normal death. For him, living forever isn't some great adventure. It's a cage he's desperate to get out of. And this is how they see themselves. They're not superheroes. They don't even think they're really alive, not in the way that matters. The best way Angus can describe it is that they're like rocks stuck on the bank of a river. They can watch the river of life flow by, but they can never, ever jump back in. They're just stuck. So now that Winnie knows the secret, she finds herself at a crossroads, and she's being pulled in two totally different directions by two people who see the spring's power in completely opposite ways. Okay, first up, we've got our villain. And he's not some scary monster. He's this creepy, greedy man described as looking like a well-dressed marionette. He finds out about the spring, and immediately his eyes turn into dollar signs. He doesn't want to drink the water himself, no. He wants to own it. He wants to bottle it up and sell eternity to whoever he deems worthy. You know, whoever can pay the most. And then you have Jesse. He's 17, and he's going to be 17 forever. And for him, immortality is this incredible, endless adventure. He gives Winnie a bottle of the water and asks her to wait till she's 17, drink it, and then run off with him to see the whole world. I mean, talk about a tempting offer, right? It paints forever as this amazing romantic journey. This all leads us to the real heart of the book, its philosophy. And it all comes to a head in a moment where a deep conversation is interrupted by a shocking act of violence. This right here, this is the most important idea in the whole story. Angus Tuck tries to make Winnie understand. Life isn't something to be held onto, to be frozen. It's a wheel. It's constantly moving, growing, changing. And being born and living are part of that wheel, but so is dying. Dying isn't the enemy to be afraid of. It's just a natural, necessary part of being alive. And right as Angus is explaining how important this natural cycle is, that whole idea gets put on trial. The climax of the story just erupts out of nowhere. The man in the yellow suit shows up, he's going to expose the whole secret, ruin this natural order, and May Tuck knows she has to do something to stop him. So here's how it all goes down. The man grabs Winnie, May hits him with the stock of a shotgun to protect their secret, and he ends up dying. So May gets arrested and is set to be hanged. But here's the problem. She can't die. If they try to hang her, the whole world will know their secret. So Winnie, this quiet little girl, makes the bravest choice of her life. She agrees to help break May out of jail, and she takes her place in the cell, allowing the Tucks to escape for good. And that brings us to the end, and to the answer to that big question we started with. Did Winnie choose an endless life with Jesse, or did she choose something else entirely? Decades pass. The Tucks finally ride back into Tree Gap, and they find this, a gravestone. Winnie never drank the water. She chose to stay on the wheel. She grew up, she became a wife, a mother. She lived a full, wonderful, and most importantly, a complete life. And Angus Tuck's reaction when he sees her grave, it's just 2 words, but they are so, so powerful. Good girl. He's not sad, he's proud. He's relieved. It's his way of saying, you got it. You understood the lesson. She chose to really live. And to him, that was the absolute bravest thing she could have done. So what about that little bottle of spring water Jesse gave her? Well, in this final, beautiful little scene, we learn that years ago, Winnie saw a toad about to be attacked by a dog. And she took that water, that promise of forever, and she poured it on the toad to protect it. She said no to immortality for herself, but gave a little piece of it back to the natural world, showing she truly understood what it means to be part of the wheel. And that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? The story completely flips our expectations. It makes you wonder if the thing we should really be afraid of isn't dying, but getting to the end and realizing we never really lived at all. It leaves you asking yourself, what makes a life special? Is it how long it is? Or is it the changes, the love, and the losses we experience along the way?